All right, class, in this lesson, we're going to talk about stock transaction fees. We're going to learn to compute the fees involved when buying and selling stocks, and then define the basic vocabulary of a stock. Let me go ahead and correct that spelling here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some background information. So how do you buy and sell stocks? Well, you can't just go to the store and buy a share of stock. It actually has to be purchased or sold through a licensed stockbroker. Now, stockbrokers also give advice to investors. They don't have to, but that is something that they can do. And then for their services, stockbrokers will charge what's called a broker fee. Now, the broker fee can be of two different types of fees. One is called a flat fee, and so they'll just charge you a flat amount for a transaction, or they may charge you a commission, which is a percentage of a particular transaction. And then the third would be a hybrid. They could potentially charge you a flat fee plus a commission. So depending on who your stockbroker is and the way fees are set up, you can encounter one of those three scenarios. Okay. So today, you, and this may include you as well, some people make their own investment decisions instead of relying on a stockbroker. And they do this by doing some research, like reading the financial news, such as the Wall Street Journal, researching websites to learn more about new developments in the stock market. In either case, they still must buy and sell through brokers, but they may decide to use what's called a discount broker. Now, a discount broker is an online brokerage house that charges lower fees. They don't give you investment advice. They only make those stock transactions for you. Discount brokers are available online, which a lot of people take advantage of. They're also available by phone. So you may have seen movies in the past where an investor will call their broker and say, "Hey, sell all of my shares, by the end of the day," something like that. Or they can do it in person as well. An online trading account is most convenient because investors can access it 24 hours a day. So you can make requests to buy or sell stocks all day long, anytime during the day or even at night, and a stockbroker on the other end will execute those transactions. Okay, now a full service broker gives investment advice and charges a higher flat fee, commission, or combination of both. Some customers of full service brokers have what's called unlimited free trade accounts, right? So you have a full service broker, you pay this fee, and the brokers may charge around 1 to 2% of the customer's total assets per year for this service in exchange for however many trades you want. If you buy or sell at the market, you are instructing your broker to get the best available price. Now, in order to do this, you can place what's called a limit order, which specifies the price at which you want to buy or sell. So, for example, let's say you put in a limit order to buy a particular share or price at $30 a share. And so your stockbroker will buy these shares until it exceeds $30. And at that point, your stockbroker will not purchase any more shares. You can also put a limit order on the sale of your shares. So you may call your stockbroker and say, "I would like to sell my shares and put a limit order at $25 per share." And so as long as the shares are selling above $25, your stockbroker will continue to sell until it drops below $25. And at that point, your stockbroker will not make any more sales transactions. Now, your net proceeds represents the amount of money you make after broker fees are subtracted. So in this case, you want to make sure that you are aware of the broker fees whenever you make a stock trade. Okay, so let's take a look at the next couple of examples. I think I have 3 examples here to kind of help you quantify and understand sort of the numbers and the calculations that go on during buying and selling of stocks. Okay, so in example 1, we have Dion makes 2 trades through his online discount broker, E-Trade. E-Trade charges a fee of $12 per trade. Dion's first purchase was for $3,456, and his second purchase later in the day was for $2,000. And the question here is, how much did he spend on the day's purchases, including broker fees? Okay, so for the first trade, he purchased, so I'm going to just write here first, he purchased $3,456, and E-Trade charges a fee of $12 for that trade. Okay, so we add $12 here, and that works out to $3,468. Okay, now the second trade, he purchases $2,000 worth of stocks, I believe. And for that trade, E-Trade charges Dion $12 again for a total of $2,012. So if we were to add these up, we would have, let's see here, a total of $5,480 that he spent in total on the day's purchases. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. It's pretty straightforward. You just take the total of what he purchased plus adding the $12 for each of the trades, and that is what he spent in total for the day. Okay, so let's move on to example 2. All right, so Adriana purchased $7,000 worth of stock in a single trade from a broker. The current value of Adriana's portfolio is $11,567. What broker fee must she pay based on the fee schedules below? Okay, so if you take a look, this brokerage fee schedule says that if your portfolio value is less than $250,000, then if you perform an online trade, that's going to be $15 per trade. If you make an automated telephone trade, it's going to be an online fee plus $9.50. And if you do execute trades using a broker, that's going to be 0.5% of commission plus the online fee. Okay, so that is one scenario. And then the second scenario is based on a portfolio that is greater than 250,000. Okay, it should be greater than or equal to 250,000. So if you have a fairly healthy portfolio, then your online trades are going to be $12 per trade. So it's going to cost you less. Your online fee, so your automated telephone trades are the same, online fee plus $9.50. And if you use trades using a broker, your commission is going to be a little bit lower at 0.4% commission plus the online fee. Okay, so the question is, what broker fee must Adriana pay based on this fee schedule? Well, let's take a look. Adriana's total portfolio is $11,567, so she's going to fall into this category. Now, the next thing to do is to determine what kind of trade did she make. Well, it says that she made a single trade from a broker, okay? So that would land her in this category here. So that means she's going to have to pay a 0.5% commission plus online fees, all right? So if we calculate that, that's going to be 0.005, that is 0.5%, convert it into decimal, and we're going to multiply that by $7,000. Okay, that was her purchase. And if you punch that into the calculator, that's going to work out to $35. Okay, now, that doesn't end there. Remember, it says 0.5% commission, which is what we just calculated, but there's also a plus an online fee. Well, the online fee is $15. So we need to include that as our fee. And so her total cost, let me go ahead and write that a little bit neater. That works out to $50. Okay, so that is the broker fee that she must pay based on this fee schedule. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to example 3. Through Viking Brokerage, Erin purchased $23,510 worth of stock and paid her broker a 1% broker fee. She then sold when the stock price increased to $27,300 and used a discount broker who charged $21 per trade. And we are to compute her net proceeds. Okay, so let's take a look at her purchase costs. Purchase cost. Purchase cost is going to equal the cost of the stock plus the broker fee. Okay, so the cost of the stock is $23,510. Okay, and the broker fee is 1%, so that's converted to 0.01, and we're going to need to multiply that by the cost of the stock, which was $23,510, and adding those two numbers together gives us $23,745.10. Okay, that is the purchase cost. Now, what we also need is to determine the sale proceeds. So when she sells her stocks, we need to calculate what the proceeds are. So the sale proceeds is going to equal the sale price of stock, and we're going to subtract the broker fee. Okay, notice the difference here. Okay, this is very subtle, but if you notice that in the purchase cost, we took the cost of the stock and then we added the broker fee, right? Because the reason we're adding is we want to know what the total cost is. When it comes to selling, we're going to take the sale price of the stock, but we're not going to add the broker fee because that's not coming to us. It's going away from us, right? We're losing. And so we would have to subtract the broker fee. All right, so the sale price of the stock, we are told, is $27,300. And then we're going to need to subtract the broker fee. Since she went to use a discount broker, it was a flat fee of $21. And so that works out to $279. Okay, then, so that's our sales proceeds. And so the net proceeds is going to be, go ahead and underline this, the sale proceeds minus the purchase costs. Okay, well, the sale proceeds was $27,279, and we're going to subtract the purchase cost, which was $23,745.10. And punching that in the calculator works out to $3,533.90. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our last example, example 4. Daryl is purchasing 700 shares of Buddy Industries through the Creative Brokerage House. Their fee schedule is shown in the table below, and the shares will cost him $32 each. How much will he pay in broker fees? Okay, so the first thing to do is determine the value of the purchase. And so Daryl purchased $700 or 700 shares at $32 per share. And that works out to $22,400. Okay, so now you have to take a look at the table and determine where this $22,400 falls. And if you take a look at the value range, it falls in this part of the table, which means the commission charge is 0.3% and also has a flat fee of $75. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and calculate the commission charge, which is $22,400, and that's going to be multiplied by 0.003, which is the 0.3% commission converted into decimals. And punching that number into the calculator works out to $67.20. Okay, now there's also a flat fee of $75 that we need to take into account. So we need to add $75 to the total fee, and that works out to $142.20. Okay, so the broker fee for this trade is $142.20. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. If you have any questions or if something wasn't clear, please go back to the beginning of the recording and listen to it again. Thank you.